From the beginning, I had serious reservations about the way that the EAA was formed, the lack of public input, and the consistent lack of transparency. But putting all of that aside, the most concerning fact was that this body, the legislature, was willing to greatly expand the EAA without any independent data to suggest whether it was a success or a failure. From my standpoint, I was willing to say, all right, put my concerns aside, let's see how it does. Let's see if it does, in fact, help to turn around schools that have been consistently struggling. But I was very concerned, starting with the lame duck session last year, or actually 2 years ago now, when the idea was, even though the schools had been in existence for only a few months, that we would just greatly expand the Education Achievement Authority. There was no data whatsoever to tell us whether this was in fact working for students or whether it was a colossal failure. We now have some data. I would say we still don't have enough. I mean, you need several years to really make that determination, but the independent data that we have so far does not suggest that this is working. And that's a problem. And yet here we are still trying to codify and expand a program that we don't know whether it is going to be a success or not, and most likely, based on the data that we have, will not be. When this legislature was first looking at expanding the EAA, they were doing so with the knowledge of specific data that was self-reported by the EAA schools. And in my opinion, if we're going to allow EAA schools to self-report, we should allow all schools to self-report. That's only fair. But now that we have data that shows the EAA schools in comparison to other schools across the state, we need to take that into consideration. And that data is telling us that there's some serious issues with the Education Achievement Authority. So back in February, myself and 3 other members of the State Board of Education put out a statement opposing this legislation. It is, at best, too soon, and at worst, a colossal mistake for the state.